Hello. I wasn't too sure if I was going to be making any videos for the next couple of weeks. It just kind of feels that I need time to focus on things rather than getting snowed under with what to do here. But here we are. So why am I doing this one? Because it's about being open and honest with myself and everybody. The last few videos, people have said that things have seemed and felt quite positive, and for the most part I would agree. But the sort of negativity that's in the mind has turned interesting, and it's got to a point where I have decided to take note and reach out and try and get some professional help, and I think that's important to do so. You see, the problem that I've got isn't even like the overwhelming like amount of negativity. Like, it's more the calmness of it. You know what I mean? So it's difficult to explain what I mean on that, but it's like if you're in an argument with somebody, right, and the other side's shouting at you, it's just loud. It's just volume in that respect. But if you're in an argument with somebody and they are perfectly calm and they can articulate their point well, and they sort of almost back it up with evidence, or, you know what I mean, there's a lot of thought that's gone into it. It's a very meticulous process that's got them to their conclusion that they're at. That's where that negativity is for me. And I've noticed that it's kind of been more, it's almost like serious in a way, which is quite, it's given me reason to think about it, I think is the best way to put it. So it's like, for the most part, I think negative thoughts are just white noise that obviously can increase with intensity and just sheer volume in terms of like loudness, but also volume in terms of numbers. And I think when it's like that, I can manage it better. I'm not saying I can manage it, but I can manage it better. So when there's like an overwhelming static of negativity, it's like you can almost shrug it off, brush it off, ignore it, or go through processes to work ways around it. But it's kind of condensed itself down now, where it's just calm, it's rational, it's able to say this is like this because of this, and when you sit and you try and work through it rationally, you can't deny what it's trying to say, if that makes sense. And so I'm looking at how I'm sort of responding to people when things happen, and this is what makes me think, or almost know, that I'm on a spectrum of some sort, and it's like a sliding scale for me massively. I have routines, and, you know, something in the future, if there's plans been made in the future, and those get changed, even if it's very slightly, I go to pot. Like, it sort of brings so much stress and just anxiety and everything else. So a similar thing happened last night, and it's just a case of not reacting this time, just sitting back, acknowledging all the signs, and thinking something is really not okay with me in many ways. But, you know, especially this time, we're talking mental health, mental illness kind of thing. Now, I have my own, I don't know what you call it, like reasons or whatever, for not wanting to find out if I am on a spectrum. Mainly is because it won't help anything, and to some degree you could argue it's just another excuse. There are people out there who think different to that, and I've got no issues with that. We're all different, we're all just a mix of who knows what, and we have to deal with our own thoughts, don't we? So for me, like, if somebody turned around to me and said, yeah, you're autistic, it's like, okay, it's not going to change my day to day. Even if I take medication for it, I know people that are on medication for autism, and they're actually better when they're off it. And again, I literally just said I know everybody's different, and potentially that would be the same for me. You know, I could be different. If I was on meds, I'd be completely different to if I was off meds. But I don't know. It's something for me that is trying to understand where it's come from, because I was never like this before. So is it a trauma response to something? Is it just head injuries? Because the amount of times I've had concussion due to playing sport, it's just ridiculous. So it has to have come from somewhere. So that leaves us to today. So last night there was a little bit of a thing, and I didn't react about it this time. I just sat there and looked at myself and thought, yeah, it's now time. There's so far that you can do so much alone, and most people will have their own limits. Some will go further, some won't. But I hit a point where I need it, you know, trying to go through this process and trying to work my own stuff out and like change and grow and everything else. And everybody says, we're here for you. Everybody says that. Everybody wants to back you. Like, especially IRL anyway. Like, everybody says that they want to support you and everything else. And they say that right up until the time you say no to something, basically. You know, they tell you to do what's right for you and all this kind of stuff. And the moment that you say no to something because it's not what you want or it's not right for you, that's when there's a problem. And people don't seem to like that then. And I think that's where it starts to get rough, because that's a reminder that it's you on your own. There is no real support network, especially not like a personal close network. There's professional help, and obviously they're disconnected rather from you, so what decisions you make in life don't impact them, so they are able to help in that respect. But yeah, basically the more you try and do things for yourself, especially if you've been a particular way for most of your life, the more you try and gain back some control of your life or try and start just doing stuff for yourself, the more your circle shrinks, because it's upsetting people or it's offending people or you're changing, or you know, you're not who you were before. And I don't know, I just got to a point where it's like it's time to be sensible, and it's time to actually reach out to like professional help and see where we go. So that's what I did. And I don't know how it is for everybody else, but for me it was pretty simple really. All I had to do was just took a trip to my local GP. I spoke to the receptionist and they were really, really nice. They spoke really quietly, like they stopped speaking because they got intercom stuff. They stopped speaking through that and spoke to me directly. And yeah, so they've organised somebody to give me a call back in 3 days' time. And it's going to be about an hour conversation, and then it's a face-to-face after that really. They assess you and they try and find out what direction they need to apply their help and go from there. So I think a lot of it is to do with just general mental health and the fight that you guys know about it. But there's also a bit of a battle there, because it's getting to a point where I should be able to go back to work with my back and everything, and I need to have a conversation with my workplace, because they haven't had a lot of work on, and if they don't have a lot of work on, I don't go in, and if I don't go in, I don't get paid. So a conversation needs to be had there, and it's makes me anxious. I'm not gonna lie, it does make me anxious, because with the pandemic, and then after the pandemic was when our work started to dry up a lot, so that's when I stopped going in. And then with my back, it's been about 3 years since I've actually worked full time, and it bothers me, because I have been looking at other work, and especially around here, the local area, there isn't really anything of substance or value, and it's a lot of part-time work and a lot of healthcare work, and I don't think I'm in the right mindset to be doing healthcare, being a carer and stuff like that. So I don't know, I really don't know, you know. I'm fighting different demons, and that's the only way that I can talk about it. Is it's not the same as it was. They've they've rallied together a little bit, so it's trying to get to them before they get to me. Really, have fun.